Here on the network with my buddy Chris Stevenson. How you doing, Chris?
How's it going there, Patrick?
Oh, everything is good. Well, the hottest topic in our community now is the topic about Bishop Eddie Long. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
Well, you know what? I heard there was a congressional investigation on Long. I guess it started several years ago, maybe sometime back in 2007, 2008 or something like that. I'm not sure the details, but, you know, they've been cracking down on several of those types of these preachers and these ministers.
Mega pastors.
The mega pastors. I was just about to say that. You know, people whose churches are the seating capacity is what, 25,000, 30,000 seats. I mean, literally the size, because Fenway Park in Boston is what, 33,000 seats. So you think about this, all right? In baseball, you could get 1 million people. You could still get 1 million people into these stadiums if you count the 81 home games. All right. Now compound that to 365 Sundays a year. How much money does that take in?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. You take every one of those 25,000 to 30,000 people digging deep, and you create an Eddie Long.
Is this becoming a major problem in our community? I think it is. I think there's whether he is guilty or innocent is not for me to decide, but you have to look at the cause and effect of this situation with him and how it's going to affect our community as a whole, especially the black church. Am I right?
Right. Well, you know something, and I'm thinking you're still talking about the congressional investigation, or have we moved on with these recent allegations? Because they're both kind of the same anyway. All right. You know, because they're controversial. They don't look good for the black community. But on the other hand, we can't be squeamish about hearing news of these types of things just because it's the black church.
Right.
The white church is taking hits also, especially in the sexual misconduct area.
Absolutely.
Okay? The sexual misconduct allegations in the black church, and especially those relating to Long, since we can bridge that in, we're starting to cross that bridge also, is, you know, as you yourself know, having done interviews with authors, 1 or 2 authors who have written on about books about people like Long, this is not new.
No, this is not new.
Been known now for since what, 2006, 2005?
2007.
2006, 2007. So you think about that. When you think about that, we can't be squeamish about the news of these just because it's a black church and we're under attack, because that's not the way you look at this. You look at it like, I don't want my church to look bad.
Right.
Okay? And so if we have this problem, we have to get rid of a certain element, no matter how high it is near the top.
One of the problems with Eddie Long, with the congressional investigation, a lot of people that don't know, he's under investigation. There has not been a ruling yet, so that means the investigation is still current. He's under investigation for the charity organization associated with New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, and because he has a salary coming out of a not-for-profit organization of more than $3 million. And with this, he has more than a 9-bedroom house, and he's driving a Rolls Royce and multiple other cars. He's living a very lavish lifestyle, and he has defended his prosperity by saying this is the benefits of his labor, which, you know, you're giving him the money, and
sure.
You know, I guess you're approving him making these amounts of money. But I also see, too, Chris, from the recent allegations, along with the congressional allegations, that maybe we as a whole need to examine our relationship and the history of the black church itself. The black church is a very unique structure. It's a unique institution, which was born out of liberation during the enslavement period. It is very much so different from the history of European Christendom, which you want to call the European church, be it Catholic or Protestant.
Right.
The European church birthed itself out of the Council of Nice, the Council of Ephesus, the Council of Chalcedon, and the Council of Constantinople 1 and 2. That's historical. From those major councils were the birth of European Christendom, because there was a break within the thought processes of the Coptic Church. And from the Coptic Church, from the break from the First Council of Nice, the Coptic Church broke away from European Christendom.
Now, when you say Coptic, because I know Dr. Walter Williams used that word also a lot.
Right.
And I just started reading his second book about the history of the
historical origins of Islam.
Of Islam, yeah. What do you all mean when you say Coptic Church?
The Coptic Church was the first known Christian church. It came out of the Egyptian Coptic Church of ancient Egypt.
Okay.
And its first martyrs were Pontius and Boethus, around 4 ACE, after the Common Era.
Right.
That's when you say an ACE is after the Common Era.
All right.
And that was about 4 ACE the Coptic Church started.
Okay.
And the Coptic Church, the Egyptian Coptic Church, led to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, or the Ethiopian Coptic Church. And from there, these groups were called into a major council by Constantine at the Council of Nice, and where he wanted to unify them into one state religion. And there was a disagreement at this conference. The Coptics broke away from the conference. Those that stayed in the conference, this group formed European Christendom, which later became the Catholic Church, which later, as you know, Martin Luther broke away and formed the Protestant Church.
Right.
And there is a huge difference in philosophies, though origins of the theocracy and theology of these two churches are similar. But the purpose of the black church was as a liberation struggle movement against Christendom being put on them during the enslavement period in the United States of America. And the black church was an instrument of liberation. Thus, you have the creation of the old slave hymns. These were hymns that had codes in them, down by the riverside, and follow the drinking gourd. That's
the original black codes.
They were codes.
Yes.
And the black church was a seat of liberation. It is much so different. Now I believe, since the civil rights struggle, and from the civil rights struggle, there was a break in the Baptist church. From the National Baptist Convention emerged the Progressive Baptist Convention. And now there are those that have broken from the Progressive Baptist Convention and have now brought about this prosperity ministry under the guise of being a Baptist. But now you're seeing bishops in the Baptist church, and that's from European Christendom. That has no place in a true Protestant church. And those that say that really have not read their history, and that's the biggest problem that we're seeing now. We're seeing a clandestine merging of two different philosophies which have never truly merged together because of their experiences are totally different. But those of us that don't read history of how European Christendom came into place, and the black church, they're getting lost into the total spirituality of this and not looking at the historical origins.
Right.
So we're seeing the Bishop Eddie Longs coming under attack. This prosperity ministry is coming under attack because it's basically based on financial prosperity.
Do you think that the more, that's the way it seems to me also, the more these preachers, as you say, that so-called Bishop Eddie Longs, take on the attributes of European Christianity, the more other things go along with it, such as the sexual deviancy.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you got the sexual deviancy scandals. Maybe that can't be avoided. Okay, because when you know these people, they're the enemy. All right, these are the enslavers of us. All right. They brought up when they came to Africa, and when they traveled to this new world here in the United States, they brought everything with them. Their diseases, their deviancies, sexual deviancies, all that stuff came with them. So maybe we can. It's always chasing us.
Well,
Okay?
if you're going to gravitate and not know the history of what you're gravitating to, you're also going to acclimate yourself to some of the diseases or infirmities associated to what you're gravitating toward.
Sure.
And that's a major problem. Most people are afraid of learning history. They're afraid to admit to history. And if they would learn the history of what they're dealing with, many of them would have second thoughts on being so aggregated to what they're dealing with, I believe. And especially when you're talking about the uniqueness of the black church. The black church experience is built on our experience in this country, and it was used as a liberation tool against the oppressor.
And here's the thing. It was built upon black tradition.
Yes, sir. Very close
Man
to
and wife,
spirituality.
husband, wife,
Yes,
children.
sir.
None of this other stuff you got with the European. No. Yeah, okay. None of that.
Based on balance of mind.
Exactly.
And most people don't know what Ma'at is because they don't study history, but it's based on balance, man and woman. And the deviation from that, if you read up on the history, you will see where you are deviating, and those that are Baptists know that. And there are certain Protestant groups, such as the Methodist, the Anglican, Episcopal, AME Zion, they have bishops. But in the Baptist church, you're not supposed to have bishops.
Right.
The Baptist church, each church is independent. It has a trustee board and a deacon board, and the church is sovereign. They have a convention where you get together and you form policy for aggregate congregations. But to say that you're a bishop over such amount of churches and these huge, gigantic ministries, if you look at the history behind what you're doing, you're now acclimating yourself to European Christendom models. And the model that you're looking at is foreign to you, and it's not the original model that was adopted by our ancestors. Our ancestors adopted the Christian model based on enslavement, but they used that Christian model as a means towards liberation, and as you said before, it was based, the black church was based on many of our traditional spiritualities that we brought over here from our own long ancestral traditions. And most of us are no longer, we're really just not reading history anymore. And that's a major problem in our community, is that we are diversifying ourselves from knowing trueness, history, and we're adopting theocracy and theology as history, and that's not necessarily true. Theology and theocracy are absolutely different from history. Historical evidence, in fact, it is what it is. And theology is what it is. That's something that is, it's a theology. That is not, it cannot be proven. It's based on faith. Faith is fine. Most people's religious beliefs are based on faith. But if you're going to practice these faith-based ministries, at least know the history behind these religious movements and how they have come into being. And you would find that most of these megachurch ministries are based on a European Christendom model, not the model that the black church is based on. And that's our history. Yeah.
Well, see here, when we had the smaller church in the black community, if there was a scandal, it was with the reverend and a grown adult female. Now, these women are going to church feeling lonely nowadays. Okay? All right? Pastor now looking at the husband, the son, or maybe the little girl. He said, I'm not interested in a wife no more. We don't want women anymore. What's wrong here? What's going on?
Well, I think one of the major problems is that the black church is more or less dominated now by women.